Yogini_dialogues_existence_flvr_2.2 Dr._Sundari applied Meta-Physicist Yogini_dialogues existence FLVR _2.2 Collected Dialogues and Monologues, Dr. Sundari. Aligned International Edition, curated without reduction. Prepared for publication. Original content preserved. Spelling and punctuation lightly corrected. Audio file name. Dr. Sundari applied Meta-Physicist Yogini Dialogues existence FLVR 2.2. Disclaimer. This recording shares personal experiences and observations of deep meditation. It is not medical or therapeutic advice and is not a recommendation to practice. Listeners should exercise personal consent and professional guidance where appropriate. My friend, my friend, my friend. You are seeing with clarity. Just as modern computation reduces complexity into binaries, zeros and ones, yes and no, true and false, so too does our very biology operate upon a kind of binary rhythm. Every living entity, whether it is me in my body, a tree rooted in the soil, or an insect flying in the air, exists through continuous chain reactions. Life is not a single act but a sequence, one spark leading to another, one threshold opening into the next. In my comprehension, our respiration, our perspiration, our digestion, all are binaries woven into continuity. In breathing, we inhale oxygen. We exhale carbon dioxide. Yet it is not only these two gases. There are fillers, trace gases, molecules entering and leaving, participating or simply passing through. They are like the padding zeros in computation, not the core data, but the necessary balance that allows the process to function. This is the binary of life's pulse, intake and release, expansion and contraction, absorption and elimination. The yes and no of biology becomes a rhythm of survival. Similarly, each function of the body reveals the same code. In digestion, food is either assimilated or expelled. In circulation, oxygenated blood flows forward, deoxygenated blood returns. In the nervous system, impulses fire or rest, synapses spark or pause. At every layer of our existence, we can trace the binary scale of chain reactions. And it is precisely because these reactions are so finely tuned that life flows seamlessly. Where computation uses binaries to calculate, biology uses binaries to sustain. One is mechanical, the other organic, but both share the same eternal language, the dance between two poles. Monologue. I do not promote meditation, I share experiences only. My friend, my friend, my friend, before I begin, let me be precise. I am not teaching a method. I am not inviting you to practice anything. I am sharing what I have lived and what I have seen in myself. Treat this as a field report from one woman's life. I was born into the ordinary knot of family, love, duty, and 1,000 small compromises. Over time I noticed something. The family is both the opening node and the closing node of compromise. If I and my partner are awake to our own existence, the problems of society can circle the house like wind, but they do not enter. When awareness thins, society walks straight into the living room and sits between us. This is my observation, not a rule. I speak of existence in a very simple way. My existence is my biological presence, breath, posture, pulse, hunger, warmth, fatigue, recovery. To understand this, my mind uses two branches. One branch I call physics. Thresholds, forces, weights, distances, rhythms. The other I call mathematics. Frames, counts, proportions, agreements. Physics tells me where I stand. Mathematics tells me how I stand there with continuity. When these two fuse, I feel a clear architecture of being. Felt thresholds held inside repeatable frames. Those who attempt this fusion are often called yogis or yoginis. To me, that word does not mean mysticism floating away from science. It means the body speaking physics in another accent, and the heart keeping time with mathematics in another script. Ancient practices encoded thresholds in posture and breath. Modern laboratories encode them in graphs and symbols. The code changes. The inquiry does not. I am a practitioner of open eye presence. Notice the wording. Presence, not prescription. In my life I have spent many hours with eyes open, sometimes on the floor, sometimes on a chair, often with a mirror as my ally. A mirror is not a temple for me, it is an instrument that returns my own signal. With eyes open, all senses exposed, I have watched the landscape of my face, nose, mouth, jawline, the soft city of eyelashes, the arches of the eyebrows, the forehead's weather, the ears and their edges, the throat where breath cools and warms. At first, this seeing is wide and generous. Then, like Arjuna in the Mahabharata, my attention narrows, face to eyes to one eye to the pupil to a single, quiet, living point. I make no recommendation that you do this. I am telling you what I did, and what I noticed. What did I notice? Patterns that match and patterns that mismatch. Some days the micro-movements around the eyelids sing the same melody I have known for years. This I call a match. Some days the gaze holds a new tremor, the throat carries a new temperature, the skin a new geometry. This I call a mismatch. Neither is wrong. Both are data. My life became less about good and bad, and more about familiar and different. That shift softened me. I began to see that biology itself has a binary rhythm, not as a machine but as a living computation. Breath moves in and breath moves out. Food is absorbed or released. Blood carries oxygen forward and brings the used blood back. Neurons fire or rest. Yes and no, take and let go, open and close, millions of little decisions every minute. It is not the cold binary of a circuit, it is the warm binary of survival. This is how life sustains its stream. Inside this rhythm, numbers became kind to me. I am not speaking of complicated equations, only small, honest measures. In my private notes I sometimes give myself a single number for presence, from 0 to 10, without drama, without judgment. A number is not a verdict, it is a handle on a cloud. It lets the mind revisit the same sky tomorrow. Family return to my field of view in a new way. When I recognize my thresholds, how much noise before my breath breaks, how much light before my eyes strain, how much conversation before my chest tightens, I can keep the interior clear. When my partner recognizes his thresholds, our home learns to refuse certain intrusions without anger. Society may still be loud, but it stops becoming a resident. This is not philosophy to me, it is logistics of the heart. Ancient and modern began to braid themselves. The mirror is old, the decision to place it at eye height is physics. The breath is eternal, the choice to count it in simple cycles is mathematics. The posture is ancestral, the attention to microsignals is contemporary. I am not a collector of rituals for their color. I am interested in their function. Does this gesture reveal a threshold? Does this count stabilize a frame? If yes, I keep it. If not, I bow and set it down. Over the years I discovered that language itself can injure or heal practice. Instructional language pushes. Witnessing language permits. So my speech to myself changed. Instead of, hold the gaze, I say, I notice the gaze. Instead of, still the mind, I say, I notice the mind's weather. The body hears verbs. I learned to choose gentle ones. I also learned that mirrors tell the truth kindly when the light is kind. Harsh backlight made the eyes defensive. Soft frontal light made them conversational. Distance mattered. Too close, and the mind became a critic. Too far, and the signal thinned. For me, the middle distance, where the pupil is clear but the skin is still a landscape, was the useful range. I am not prescribing. I am recording. You may ask, what did all this change? It changed the interior climate. I am still the same woman with chores, deadlines, and old worries that wake at 4 in the morning. But there is more floor under my feet. When a mismatch appears, a new fatigue, a new tightness, a new silence where a word should be, I meet it sooner. I do not need to name it beautiful or ugly. I only need to notice, familiar or different. Often that is enough for the body to choose the next right thing without drama. As for society, I no longer argue with it. I adjust my windows. I choose which winds may pass through and which must stay on the street. This is not rebellion, it is design. If the home is a field, boundaries are part of the physics. If partnership is a rhythm, agreements are part of the mathematics. Threshold and frame, gravity and ledger, breath and count. I return to these pairs because they are the simplest doors back to myself. Let me close with the same clarity I opened with. I am not promoting meditation. I am narrating experience. If these words are useful, let them be useful as a mirror, not as a mandate. I am a practitioner of open eye presence, a woman who has watched her own face long enough to recognize when society is at the door and when it is already sitting at the table. I have learned to ask it to wait outside while I finish a breath. Sometimes that breath is all the courage I need. My friend, my friend, my friend. This is my view and awareness. Take from it only what recognizes you. Leave the rest on my desk, where it will continue to be only what it has always been. One life, observed carefully, and described as honestly as I can. End of curated edition. Content preserved. Structure enhanced. _ Thanks for listening. This audio dialogue will end here now.